Hello.
Like, oh my God, I don't feel safe.
Right.
You know? So to leave the flat, you had to go down the steps. And once you're down the steps, you walk past this massive, dodgy council estate building, which is a bunch of drug dealers hang outside of that. And then you're in the city centre, which is just, it's intense.
Hello. I could eat about 1.5 million of these.
Well, nobody's perfect.
Welcome to the It's a Drama podcast.
My mother thanks you.
If you can't say something nice.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello and welcome to the It's a Drama podcast. This is just Liz. Today we've got a slightly different show for you. As promised, today we are going behind the scenes and I am interviewing sounds a little bit formal, doesn't it? But I'm chatting to mine and Brian's daughter, Tessa. Tessa is 19 years old, and if you've been following this podcast, 7 months ago, she flew the nest. She left on her own to move down to the capital city of New Zealand to start a new life in Wellington. She is a lover of musical theatre. She wants to pursue her dream as an actress and as a dancer and a singer. And she didn't want to go down the college route. She just wanted to get on in there, make money, audition for shows. And so that's what she did. She moved down to Wellington to be in a show called Into the Woods. And from there, she went on to be in the show Wicked. And now she's just returned home for a week's break. And I thought it would be a lovely opportunity to sit down and just chat with her and find out, because I'm nosy, obviously, find out just what's going on in that 19-year-old head of hers, how it has been to leave home that she's only ever known, she's only ever been with me and Brian and Sunny, to leave home all on her own. She had absolutely no one with her, no job to go to, just move down there and start again. Find out how that's been for her. I really, really hope you enjoy this conversation. She makes me and Brian so, so proud with her vulnerability, with her honesty and her realness. I just hope you get so much out of it and enjoy it. And don't forget, Brian's just told me to mention this, but at the beginning of our podcast where he's going, welcome to the It's a Drama podcast. That little English accent that says, welcome to the It's a Drama podcast. Well, that's Tessa when she was 13. 14, she was 13 or 14. So yeah, there she is. She's come a long way since then. So just sit back and enjoy this behind the scenes episode of talking to Tess.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? It's just like, when do you start?
So can you believe that it's been 7 months since your last podcast that you did with me?
Oh, I honestly thought I'd already come on here and
filled us all in.
Yeah, I thought I came back for the first bit of the year and then talked about it, but I don't think so. No.
So it's been 7 months. You left in February. 7 months since you left the home and went off to start your own life down in Wellington. And just wanted to catch up with you and just find out how it's all been going and how you're feeling, and just catch up.
Yeah. Okay.
How are you feeling?
I'm okay now. I'm okay. In the beginning, it was really weird and hard, especially when you'd come home and then know that you had to leave again to go back down there. But now it's easier each time you do it. I think, like coming home. This is like coming home because I'm home at the moment for a break. I'm actually leaving tomorrow, so. And I'm okay about it. Like, there's still that weird feeling about going back. But I wouldn't say it's a negative feeling. I just think you almost like change yourself a little bit for each place you come back to, like, I don't know, I suppose you have to in order to cope with I don't know, because it's quite full on down there. So, and it's a lot less full on here. So you sort of like change your outlook a little bit in each place.
Just for people, just to fill people in. So Tessa left home 7 months ago. We live in Taranaki on the North Island of New Zealand, and she left home to go and start a new life in the capital city of Wellington. But she did it all on her own, with no one else, obviously, because she was all on her own. And first time you've ever left home, first time you've ever done anything like that. You moved down to Wellington because you were offered a part in a production down there. Your dream is to go into musical theatre. You were offered a role in Into the Woods, and you went down to work down there. Rather than go to college and do all that, you wanted to work on the job. And regular podcast listeners of this show will know all that anyway, but I just want to fill people in just in case they're new to that. So let's just rewind, go back 7 months, because I know now 7 months later you've come through quite a lot emotionally. So let's just go back to 7 months ago when you moved down to that flat and you were on your own, and literally me and your dad just drove away, and there you are in Wellington, 18 years old. You don't know a soul. You haven't got a job. How did you feel? What was it like? Describe your first couple of weeks in Wellington when you were down there on your own.
Well, I mean, to go back even further, as a kid, I hated being away from home. Like, absolutely hated it. I was never one of these kids that would be always asking for a sleepover, and if it was, it would be my house. You're staying at my house. I'm not leaving. So yeah, and I was always sort of known as that kid that just doesn't like sleepovers, doesn't like to be away from her family for too long. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
but that was just me. I hated being away from my family, being away from comfort, and sort of going out of my comfort zone, and because that was completely out of my comfort zone. So to be the first one in the family to like just move out completely, it was almost like kind of like shocking to myself a little bit, because it was just like, this was, I don't know, it was just like, it was never really who I'd been to just up and leave. But I think the thing that kept me strong was knowing that I was going down there to do something that I loved. That was almost like my safety net in a way. So yeah, I mean, I think when you're going through something as big as that, because it wasn't just getting down there and you driving away, it was the months and months before that.
Yeah.
It was the build up. It was, you know, and that was almost harder than leaving, because it was just like you're at home, you're doing your normal day-to-day things, but you know that you're leaving.
Yeah.
And you sort of feel out of place anyway. But
because you knew you weren't staying, because you knew you were going to go.
because I was just like, you know, it was just that, I don't know, it was so ominous. It was just like that lingering uncertainty. Were
you scared?
I was scared that I was going to slip into what I did when I was a kid. I was scared that I was just going to panic, you know, and I don't know, that kind of thing. But
what do you mean slip into when you were a kid?
Well, I mean, the thing is when I was a kid, it was like, if I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but you know, I'd be like, yeah, let's go have a sleepover. That'd be great. You know, I'm going to be with my friend. We're going to watch a film, you know, we're going to, I don't know, eat candy and stuff like that. And, you know, and the thought would be really exciting because, you know, you're going to go do it. And you feel brave when you're not there, you know, you think you can do it. And then you get to the sleepover and your mum drives away, and it gets to about 10 o'clock when you've done all the fun stuff as a kid, and then it's bedtime, and it's like that's when that feeling kicks in, and that loneliness almost, for me it was. And I was scared that was going to happen, that similar sort of thing where it was like, okay, all the faffy stuff is done, I'm moving in the bed, you know, oh yep, get your things in and drive around the city, and then, you know, 6 o'clock rolls around. It's a 4.5 hour drive to go home, so that's when you'd leave, and that's when I was scared that feeling would come back. And it did, you know, it definitely did, but I wasn't 9 years old where I could call my mum and tell her to come pick me up. It was I had a commitment and that's what I mean by that was keeping me strong, is because I'm quite a committed person. So I knew that I had to commit to this thing that I'd agreed to do, the acting job. But the thing is that didn't start for another like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So because I wanted to get there early and to settle. So yeah, it was weird. Even looking back at it now, it's just like it was a very weird day. Yeah, it was a very weird time.
I remember you just calling me and just saying, I'm just too scared to just walk around. Like, it was just, I just said, why don't you just go and look around the shops? And you said, no, I don't want to do that. And it doesn't feel right just walking around the shops. And you did say to me, I'm too scared to walk around. And you were, weren't you?
Yeah,
were just...
definitely. I mean, whenever I'd gone to Wellington, it was with you or my dad, and it was safe. It was, we're together and we're here temporarily. So you can sort of, do whatever you want. You can be whoever you want to be for a day and then go home and it's fine. But I just felt like everyone was watching me.
Did you?
Yeah, I did, because I grew up in the rural countryside, and all of a sudden I'm in this, I had a flat in the middle of town as well. I wasn't off in a little village 10 minutes out of the city. I was in the middle of Wellington.
Yes. Yeah.
The noise, just everything. It was just so much. And I think I did actually go for a walk, because I just thought it would be fine. It would be just like going for a normal walk. And I think I did. And I just, there are people that just look at you like they're going to eat you.
What?
And
men, women, both?
Just people, just really? Like even buildings look like you're going to eat, look like they're going to eat you, it's just like they're going to fall on you all of a sudden. And it's that feeling. It was just like, you couldn't even really look up at the sky without seeing building, I'm making it sound a bit dramatic.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Because and I'm really glad that you're talking about it, because like I said to you just before we started this podcast, when you came home after that first week, that would have been a brilliant time to interview you, because you were just spilling everything out about how you felt. And it was brilliant to hear that, because when someone feels like that, then you can take steps into talking to them about it, So, when I think when we went traveling the world and we went to India and things like that, and of course, when you were blonde, you were 13, you were a young girl, and you would get, especially in India, for some reason in India, when you walk down the streets, the guys would just literally stop and they would look at us, and we put it down to the fact that you were blonde, and because you were only a kid, but you hated it. You absolutely hated it, like to the point of like, can we just not go out because people are going to look at me? And so it was interesting now when you went down there at 18, the first thing you have this thing of like, like people were looking at you sort of thing.
Yeah.
And
I think it was just, because the thing is the job I do, people look at me, I'm on stage and I'm being looked at, but that doesn't bother me at all. But I don't know, it was being in such a vulnerable position, and I don't know, sometimes you have an idea of what a place is going to be like, and it's just completely, once you move there, once you live there, you're not visiting, you live there, it's just completely different, because you feel like you're at the bottom, you're at the bottom of the food chain, it's just like, yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, you get these movies of these people are like, oh, you're new here, you're fresh, you're, I don't know, you have that thing where, now I feel like, okay, I'm in the middle of the food chain now.
Yeah,
because I've moved up. I'm not a freshie anymore. Like, but there's still a long way to go. But like in the beginning, it was just, I lived at the top of these massive steps. Like, I think it's something like 250 steps. It's one of the steepest hills in Wellington. I lived at the top of that. And to get down this massive hill, you had to go down all these steps. And these steps were quite dark. You know, they were in all this bush. All these trees grew around these steps. So to get out of my flat, I had to go down these massive steps. And it's scary.
Yeah.
Because there's trash everywhere, you know, like it's just that feeling of like, oh my God, I don't feel safe.
Right.
You know? So to leave the flat, you had to go down the steps. And once you're down the steps, you walk past this massive dodgy council estate building, which is a bunch of drug dealers hang outside of that. And then you're in the city centre, which is just, it's intense. It's just like everyone's in the city centre. That's just where everyone goes. I don't know.
Did anyone ever come up to you or say anything to you, or did anyone ever threaten you, or?
I just felt like I was being followed all the time. Yeah, I mean, there's people that mutter things to you. I can't even remember, but that's just.
And were you being followed?
I don't know.
You don't
I
know.
felt like I was.
You just did, yeah.
People follow people all the time. It's just they're on the same
Yeah.
route. But yeah, I don't know. There's just that paranoia. It's just, I was just constantly paranoid. Paranoid that someone was going to come into my flat while I was asleep, or someone, I don't know, was just going to follow me somewhere, or I just didn't, I didn't feel safe.
The thing is, normally you would move to Wellington, you would go to college or, you know, Vic University, and you'd be in halls, or you'd be down there with a bunch of friends, or, you know, you'd have somewhere to go in the day. So your class starts at 9 o'clock, say, and you know where you're going. But what was different about you, because you just moved down there and you weren't living with a family. You were, like you say, you were right in the middle of it's slap bang dead in the center, isn't it? Where, or like you say, opposite that big housing complex thing where the police were constantly being called. Every time I called you, I could hear the sirens. Yeah, you know, and you would say to me about the guy living below with his dog, and he was always shouting and swearing and stuff like that. So no wonder you felt, you know, it was like literally just picking you up out of the country and putting you, because that's what you wanted to do. That was what you wanted, in the middle of this city life, wasn't it? You know, it was just.
Well, it's like I'm always watching films, and as films you see them and they're like, I'm moving to the city, like moving to the city center, and they get there and it's great, like it's amazing. And that's what I thought it was going to be like for me. And it wasn't great and it wasn't amazing, but you know, I was okay. Like I just stayed inside really and just watched TV, to be honest with you, you know, and that's all I really did.
So you didn't have a job, did you?
Oh no, I didn't. No, I didn't have a job for the first month, I think it was. I just could not get work.
Why? What were you doing to find work?
I was walking around with my CV and handing it in, and the thing is with me is I'm quite picky about where I work, because I've worked in some quite shitty places. Oh, bad. Yeah. I don't know if I'm, so I've always just been like, I want to make sure that I'm okay, you know, and I'm not taking on too much, and I want to work somewhere where I feel like it's going to be a good start for me, where I can make some friends, you know. And so I handed my CV around, you know, some of these places, and you know, I heard back from a few places and stuff like that. But by the time you get hired, it's usually like 2 weeks anyway. So, you know, there was the settling in process. Obviously, I needed sort of a week to just sort of feel my toes out and like, I don't know, get settled in. But oh yeah, I just look back and it's just like, it was just such a weird fuzzy time. Like it's just didn't feel real. Doesn't feel real now that I think about it.
What, when you look back?
Yeah. When I look back, it's just like, ooh.
Did you ever just think, sod this, I'm just going to go home?
No.
Why?
Because I'd made it that far,
Right.
you know, and it was like, I always wanted to go, you know, it was, I wanted to go to London originally, but I was like, okay, I need a little stepping stone maybe, you know, and just, I'll go to Wellington, which is, instead of 24 hours, it's just 4 hours away. So let's do that. And that was my plan. But I never ever thought to go home. Funny, it didn't cross my mind at all.
Yeah, here was your mum at home crying her eyes out saying she'll be back tomorrow. I'm sure she'll be back tomorrow.
Oh no.
I used to just phone up the counsellor saying, so you can't just kick off again, can you? Just throw a few bottles down when she walks down those steps.
Ring a few more sirens.
Yeah, that'll
eh?
send her down. That'll send her back. So how long was it into living in Wellington that you started to make friends, and how did you make friends?
When I started Into the Woods,
Yeah.
which is the show that I was a part of, I wouldn't say I made friends, but that's when I started to meet people, you know, meet people that were like-minded. It was funny, the first rehearsal, it was like a meet and greet. And the thing is with me is that I've been doing drama classes since I was, I think, like 8 or 9. And I always went with my brother, you know, and so I always had someone that I knew, you know, there was always someone to go with. And I didn't know anyone here in this room, you know, and they all knew each other really because they were all from Wellington. And so I walked in and it was just awful. Yeah, it was just like, oh my God, it was just walking into this room of people that I'd never met before, and the thing is with theatre, it's such a social space. It's a very social group of people when you're in theatre. And yeah, I just remember literally just sitting there and going on my phone and pretending to do something because I was just that nervous and that I just felt completely out of place, you know? I just felt like I shouldn't have been there, you know? And then it's just like sweating, shaking. So like that's probably one of the hardest things I've actually ever had to do, is to walk in to a room full of people and I don't know, and stay there.
Yeah.
And talk to everyone. And I know people have to do that every single day, but
who has to do that?
Oh, I know. Just like you know, it's no different than when you start a new job and you come in. But I don't know. You have something to do when you start a new job. You know, you're doing something. But this was literally just, okay, you're here to mingle with people. That's literally the whole point of this whole meet and greet, is you're here to talk to people.
Oh, that freaks me out.
Yeah, I know. And it was just like, well, I don't really want to talk to people because I wasn't even in a great place, to be honest. I was still sorting so much stuff out in my head, and then to be sociable on top of that was just, it was a lot. But then after that, it was okay, you know. I still didn't have any friends because I was just too scared to make friends, really. And I didn't want to. I don't know if sometimes when you're feeling, I don't know, not unsafe, but when you're feeling in a vulnerable place, the last thing you want to do is to talk to people and to surround yourself with people. And so I'd gotten kind of quite used to being on my own at this point, that I just didn't have the energy to talk to people.
I just want to be clear, the flat that you were renting a room with 2 other girls, but that flat was very, very antisocial, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, these
people might be listening thinking, oh, why didn't you talk to your flatmates?
Yeah, there wasn't a living room in this flat. Basically, it was this, you drive up to it, it's this flat. It's not a house, it's like it's a divided, I don't know what it is. It's a divided like 3-story.
Yeah, it's a house that's been split into 3 flats, isn't it? Like top, bottom, middle.
And we were on the top floor. So you'd open the door and there'd be steps up to the top. And you'd go up the steps. And then there was the bathroom at the top of the stairs. There was my room. that was next to the bathroom, which was a bit unfortunate. But
Why?
because you just
Just hear everything.
you'd
that's
always
going
hear
on.
everyone in the bathroom,
Yeah.
and the washer dryer would be in there, and then there was the kitchen that was next to my room as well, which was the tiniest little kitchen. There was you couldn't even sit in there; it was that small. If there were more than 2 people in there, it would just be right. One of us has got to go now because I can't move around. And then there was the 2 other girls' rooms next door to the kitchen, and they were both Asian. So it was quite quiet.
Yeah, different culture, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean they weren't Asian Kiwis. They were Asian and
Yeah.
they struggled to speak English. So this
Right.
was like, that was I think one of the reasons. But I actually quite like the idea of that. I was just like, well, okay, then I won't have to. I'm not the biggest social, not a social butterfly, so I was just like, yeah, okay, this will be great.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. After a while, it just sort of didn't. It became a bit hostile. It was just a bit like, I'm not talking to you at all. So you get a bit. I don't know.
I just found it weird. I mean, now obviously, like when you say English isn't their first language, so but I just found it a bit weird that whenever they wanted to tell you anything, they text you. And
that's
it was
so normal
is
though.
it?
Yeah,
It's just not normal to me. That why don't you just go and talk?
Yeah, we had a group chat, and they would just whenever they, literally, it would be like, oh, can you close your cupboard door or something like that. They would text you.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. We did not talk to each other. We would message each other occasionally, but we would never talk to each other.
How much were you paying to live in that flat?
$280, and then
dollars, yeah.
it was about $300 a week on top of bills.
With including bills.
Including bills,
yeah.
it was about $300.
Yeah.
But the good thing about my room is that I overlooked the city. I could see. I think that was one of the things that I liked about my room, is that I could just watch what was going on.
Yeah.
So
it was right at the top of that hill, like you say. So you had a fantastic commanding view over the city, didn't you?
I think that was it. It was just like, well, I don't need to go out because I can just watch. I'll just sit here and watch.
Yeah.
And I thought that maybe watching would make me feel a bit more confident, but no, it's not good to lock yourself up, it's understandable, but yeah, you just need friends. You really just need people, and I don't know. Yeah.
It was really weird because to look at you and to know what job you're doing, you're in the theatre. Well, you work as a barista in a coffee shop, which is a very sociable job. You do all these shows, you're on stage dancing and singing in front of people. It's funny, isn't it, how as you'd see you walking down the street, you stride very confidently, you're very lovely girl, and you just think you never know what's going on with people's lives. No one would have known that you were going back to a flat, sitting on your own, feeling scared, feeling desperately lonely.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? You never know what's...
Yeah, I mean, the thing is it's like you say, like the thing that I am passionate about and that I love to do, you don't get more sociable than that, and I love it. But I don't even see that as socializing. That is just what I love to do. I love these people that I'm around, I love laughing with them and giving to people on stage. It's my favorite thing because it's so rewarding. And even my job, it's like I make I make coffee for people, and that can really just make someone's day.
Of course it can, yeah.
And getting to know customers and talking to people, it's great. Like, I love to do that. And I don't know if that's because I like to be in control, because I'm controlling the situation. I'm the barista, I'm the performer, I don't think I like to be out of control. And I think that's why I struggled so much, was because I was so out of control. And I think that was my problem.
Because you couldn't predict what was gonna...
Well, I wasn't in control of that situation. I moved down and I wasn't in control of anything. So I think that's what affected me most. was being out of control. But yeah, I think that was it.
When did you start to feel better? Have a sip of tea.
Well, my boyfriend Finlay moved down eventually because we were together and I moved down on my own, and so we were doing long distance, and he would come and visit me every weekend, and then we decided to get a flat together. It wasn't this easy, by the way. It was a lot of backwards and forwards. Let's live together. Let's not live together. But eventually we decided like, okay, we're going to live together. But to be honest with you, even before that, I was sort of getting comfortable. You know, I was like, okay. And I think it was just because the show went on, and my job went on. I was getting comfortable, but I wasn't happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're on your own, or because you
No, not because I was on my own. It was just, the thing is, I moved down to do the theatre, but this theatre was happening 2 nights a week.
Right.
And for the rest of the 5 days, I had nothing to do. You know, yeah, I was working in the day, but I wasn't really enjoying where I was working. I wasn't enjoying the job I was doing. So I was just kind of miserable. I was just kind of like, well, you know, there wasn't enough going on.
Right.
And I know that sounds silly, but it's just, yeah, it was too much. I don't know.
Why didn't you just go and think, okay, well, I do my theatre on Monday and Wednesday, so Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or you know, whatever the other nights are, I'll go and take a dance class, or I'll go and take singing lessons. Or
I did. I mean, I went to a pole dancing class.
I know you did.
Yeah, I did do that.
You tried,
know,
didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's just not.
How was that? What was it like going pole dancing?
Oh, it was fine. It was, yeah, it wasn't anything like you tend to think, oh, it's going to be crazy, but it was fine. Like it was yeah, it was just,
I can't imagine dancing around a pole for exercise. I mean, it's supposed to be brilliant for you.
Yeah, I mean, they're
strong,
hard.
aren't they?
Yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did, you know, but the thing is like when you don't, now I know, okay, there's this dance class, there's this gym, these people can recommend these people to go to, but I didn't know anything like that, you know?
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, the internet is absolutely useless when it comes to stuff like that. So
Really?
yeah.
You think it would be brilliant, wouldn't you?
Oh, no. It was just, I was always looking it up like, oh, there's things to do this. And it's like, well, you can go to the museum.
Yeah.
But, you know, and it's like, yeah, I was just unmotivated.
Were you?
Yeah, God, so unmotivated. I just didn't want to do anything. You know, and I had little things. I was like crocheting and knitting and all that stuff, and writing. I was doing quite a bit of writing. And
what were you writing?
I was just like doing a journal, like a day to day. This is what I'm doing this morning and this afternoon, and this is how long I worked for, and just stuff like that. But I was just, I just wasn't happy, really.
What would have made you happy?
I don't know. I think there wasn't anything that I could have done. I think it's just a very slow process that you have to go through, you know, and even if I had Finn down there originally, yeah, okay, it might have been a bit easier, Finn, my partner. But still, like, I'm glad that I went down there alone because now I know how to cope better with that kind of thing. I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it started getting easier, I think, when Finlay moved down, and we he was living at my old flat for a bit, but we went flat hunting and we found this brilliant place that's actually opposite my old flat.
Just further down the hill, isn't it?
Yeah, it was further down the hill, not down the steps, so I didn't have to go down the steps anymore. This new flat had an elevator, so I didn't have to do any bit of walking at all.
See, now you have gone up to the middle. What did you say? The middle?
Middle of the food chain now. Yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic, the flat you're in now,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's amazing.
Just describe it to everyone, what your flat's like.
Oh, it's just open. It's open. That's the biggest thing. There's a big balcony that goes.
It's a penthouse, isn't it?
It's a penthouse. It's actually in a law firm, so it's not. There's no one else that lives in the building. I share a flat with a couple, and that's it. You know, so it's dead quiet at night. You don't hear anyone banging around but in the bottom of the, I don't know, downstairs or anything like that. Yeah, and there's this big balcony that goes right around the building, the flat. And so you can just stand outside. I think that was something that I always missed, was like, I didn't want to go outside, because if I go outside, I have to actually like prepare myself to go outside. And then I just missed having a balcony, like something to just walk out on, to be outside. You know, I had a tiny little window in my room, and that was it. That actually opened.
Yeah, see, that's the other thing. And it was summer, it was February, and you didn't have anywhere to, like you say, go outside because you were too scared to, you know, go to a park or whatever, which is understandable.
Yeah.
So you've got this lovely penthouse now with a big wraparound balcony.
Did I have my car?
Yes, you did. You took it down after a few weeks. You came home and got your car and then took it back
so
down.
Originally I didn't have my car, so I couldn't drive. I couldn't go for a drive.
Right.
I could only go anywhere on foot.
Yeah.
And that was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my new flat's great. It's...
Oh, if you can hear that, if you can hear brum, brum, that's because Brian is outside doing the hedges, and he's revving up the quad bike. So that's what that noise is. Hopefully he'll be able to take it out. But if you're hearing that.
Bit of ambience.
Yeah. Oh, you couldn't get better than the flat you're living in now. It's flipping stunning. Honestly, I can't believe it.
Yeah, we've got our own bathroom. We have like an entire half of the kitchen. You know, it's a big living space. Area. I've got all my plants out, all my posters up. You know, and that's what I mean. It's like as you settle somewhere, you start buying, instead of having all these ornaments from home that always remind you of home. You buy new things, you know, and you fill your space with the place that you're at now. You know, you're more in the present, and that's nice. You're surrounded by new adventures that you've made almost, you know, and so I'm happy now, I think, you know, and it's so much better than it was.
Yeah.
And there's been huge bumps along the way, like massive bumps, but that just happens to everyone. You know, I don't know who could do the thing like that and not have things like that happen.
Of course,
you know,
no.
it's
And the other thing as well is what I forgot to say was you left home having had, you know, we're big cooks, so we cook for you every night. You know, we cook every night. I mean, you would do one night, Sonny would do one night, and the rest was us.
once a month.
Yeah, no, you did. You
no.
got into the habit of doing once a week, didn't you? But I mean, that was only one night, and then all of a sudden, you're going to have to buy all your own shopping, you know, your groceries, and cook it all.
Yeah,
you know. And I think that was. I was going to ask you what one thing have you done that just made you grow up? Like, what is it? Was it out of all the things you've done, what was one thing that you've just thought, wow, that just made me grow up?
I don't know, actually. There's so many things. I wouldn't say there's just the one. I think handling money was a really big one, because I've always been careful with my money, but just having to give it away so quickly.
For rent, you mean?
For rent, yeah. It's like I pay, on top of like groceries and stuff, I have to put literally half of my earnings into this account. And you have to just be okay with that.
To pay for your rent?
Yeah.
How much is your rent?
On top of groceries, it's about $3.25 a week.
Including groceries?
Including groceries.
Is that for both of you? Or is that each?
That's just each.
So about $650 for a couple to live there, $650
to pay groceries as well.
To pay groceries, yeah.
I put all my money in the same time.
Yeah. I think is your rent $500 a week between two of you?
It's $4.50 each.
$4.50 between you, yeah.
Yep. So $2.25 each, and then you just put $100 on for groceries and stuff. This is dollars, by the way. And we pay our rent per week, so every week you have to put that through. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is with that is like you don't really have a choice. It's just like, yeah, okay, this is something you have to do. But I don't know. I think like writing a shopping list as well, like that was a big one. Going to the supermarket alone and buying whatever you want, like that's a big thing as well. It's just like, you know, coming home, you know, you go to eat food in the fridge and it's like, this isn't what I would buy, you know, this is nothing in here is what I would buy. And it's just like, and so then having the choice, I think that's a big thing about growing up is that you have so many choices. You know, you can do whatever you want, but it's also doing the right thing, you know, with that choice, because you can go a bit insane sometimes. But I'm walking past all these teenagers, and I don't mean to sound, oh, you know, goody, but like I'm in the supermarket and I'm walking past these girls at my age, and you know, their trolley is like, it's packed full with like noodles, Coke, I don't know, ice cream and bread and eggs. You know, it's just like
What's their address? I'll go round for tea.
I know. Probably be blessed to go over.
No, I know. This is what we keep saying about.
Yeah, that's the thing about
you're
choice.
Eating really well.
Yeah, it's just like you can go either way, really.
Yeah. And I'm glad you have gone the way, because every time I phone you up and I say, what are you having for your dinner? You always say, oh, steak and broccoli and new potatoes, or fish and vegetables.
Yeah.
You're doing really well. I
think that's just because I've grown up with the food that you've cooked me, you know, and these kids, and that's the thing as a grown up, you always incorporate what you've grown up into your life, you know, you teach it to your kids, that's what you know, and so that's what's right in your mind. And I think that's just what I did. It was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna make the things that you make, but buy the products that I want to buy for it.
Let's just talk about the money side of it for a minute. Are you all right talking about the money and how much it's costing you stuff?
Yeah.
So, because some people are really funny about that. And I've never been back.
Don't have any money anyway, so it's not like I'm gonna get robbed.
No, but it's interesting to know. So you started off, you got this job at a cafe and you worked there for a few months, and then you couldn't stand it any longer because it was a bit grungy, wasn't it? And you weren't happy there, and a bit dirty, wasn't it? And you just...
Yeah. I'm now
happy.
at a cafe that is amazing. Yeah.
And now you're at a beautiful cafe that suits you down to the ground.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Fantastic.
I love it.
Big shout out to the girls who own that.
There are two girls that started the business about 3 years ago. Yeah, and they're lovely.
They are.
They make amazing coffee.
Yeah, and that cafe was made for you, because when I go in there, it's just like, this is where you, it's just like, it
makes a big difference where you work.
Yeah, it does, because you spend a lot of your time there. So you work 30 hours a week at the moment, don't you? Trying to get more hours.
I'm trying to get 40 hours. Yeah. 30 is barely getting me by.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, so you work 30 hours a week. How much do you get for 30 hours?
I come home with about, 580.
Right. Okay.
I think 590 or something like that.
And how much did you say your outgoings are in the week?
I had 325 of that.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to put 150 of that into a savings account each week.
Yeah.
And so then I'm left with about like $90.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's just like, no, you can't do that. Not when you live in a city, and not when you live alone, and with your partner. It's just, yeah.
So you're trying to find you've asked for extra hours so you can start saving some money.
Yeah.
So what things are there to do in Wellington for when you've only got $90? Because I know how far $90
Go to the museum.
goes. Yeah, just walk around the park with your head held high. Not scared of you anymore.
No.
What sort of things do you do in there? What would you recommend for people to do if you haven't got much money and you're in Wellington?
To be honest with you, it's a lot of just walking around. Like,
right.
it's a really nice place to just walk around and get coffee. And, you know, if you want to go and do something, yeah, you're going to have to spend a bit of cash, you know, obviously. But it's like anywhere you go, really, you just walk around, you know, and you people watch. And they have some really cool shops in Wellington. You don't have to go and buy anything, but you can just walk around them. And, you know, I always felt like I had to go and do something like that when I first moved there. It was like, oh my God, I'm in Wellington. Like, I have to go and walk around. But it's like, now that I live there, you know, I go to work and then I go to the gym and maybe walk around for a bit and then just go home. And, you know, it's just like living in your home. You know, it's just where you live. You don't feel the need to explore it because you have explored it now, and now you're living there, you know. And there's so much more still to explore, but there's no rush. And I think when you start putting your pressure on yourself to go and like, okay, I have to go and do all these things, you know, because that's just what you have to do. And it's not, no, don't do that. Like, and yeah, don't shut yourself up. You know, that's not what I'm saying. It's just like, don't put pressure on yourself to go and feel that you have to experience all these things in week one, you know. It's like, it's such a long process moving, you know, to a completely different place as well, like completely different environment and atmosphere. But yeah. But what I would recommend, it's just, there's just everything. You walk around, you see something you can go do, you know. There's an art gallery, or there's like an escape room you have to go and do, or shops, and I don't know.
You're always saying that you're going on lovely bushwalks. The great thing about Wellington is it's right on your doorstep, nice beaches.
So the great thing about having a car as well is it's good to have a car down there. Yeah. You know, some cities you just don't need a car, or you've got the metro or something like that. We don't have any metros. We have buses, but you know, I don't know. I prefer to drive. So my partner and I, we drive to bushwalks on the weekend and stuff like that. And I'm a big foodie, so I love going out and trying all the new restaurants and stuff. And
not going to get much on $90 though, are you?
No, Christ, that's why I've got a boyfriend in it. Why do you think I'm happier now?
Yeah. So, do you still? So, before we let you go, are you feeling safe now? Would you walk? Would you be happy to walk around Wellington?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the difference is that it doesn't get less scary. It's just you get street smart, you know? It's like you don't take risks in the city. You just don't. It's not worth it, you know? And so the moment you know that, you just stick a pair of headphones on. That is the best thing I would recommend to do, is if you're scared of going outside and walking around and feel like you're being watched and stuff, put a pair of headphones on, listen to a podcast or your favorite, I don't know, soundtrack or something like that, and just walk around and just be aware of your surroundings. Don't be scared of them though. Just be aware. I think that was the biggest thing, is not seeing things as, oh, I'm scared. I'm just being aware right now, you know? Just, be aware. Be street smart, and
don't lock yourself up in a room.
Never go out without like a phone or your wallet or anything like that. And buy yourself a really good pair of trainers.
So what's next? You've just finished Wicked. You went from Into the Woods straight into the big production of Wicked, which was absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, it was, because I met people from Into the Woods and then I knew them in Wicked. Oh, and so it was like,
did you sit when you went?
I did. Oh, right. When I first went there for the Wicked, you know, there were people that I saw. Yeah, I saw myself in them when I first went in that room, and it was their first time. And I remember when I first went into the meet and greet room, there was one girl that just came up to me and started talking to me. And
when at the very beginning?
In Into the Woods, in the very beginning. And it was amazing. It was just like, that's all I wanted. I just wanted someone to come up to me and just talk to me, you know? And that's what I tried to do for Wicked. It was like, I just tried to talk to some, I don't know, nervous looking faces a bit and
pass it on.
Yeah. And then by the end of Wicked, we were all so close, like so close. And I've made so many friends, you know, and it's great. It's really, really great. But my next thing is I want to move to London. So
do it all again.
Yeah, let's do all that again. That'd be great.
Why do you want to move to London?
Because purely, not because I want to go to England, just because the theatre scene is way more encouraged over there. Not even encouraged.
It's just prolific, isn't it?
It's just you know, you go on the metro and there's posters everywhere, and it's just like it's a bit more inspiring over there. I think you're always pushed by seeing things like that, and you know, there's that push, and I want to be pushed more. As a theatre sides of things, I think. This would be so weird for someone who's listening that's not into theatre. I hope it makes sense, but yeah, it's yeah. I just want to go there, and I just
like a
work.
pull that you've got.
It's just remembering that it's all going on, you know, and it's just you Wellington. There's 2 shows a year, and that's it. You know, it's like that's it. And if you don't like those shows, well, it's not if you don't like it, but if you just, maybe if you didn't get in, or
if you don't get in,
it's like, well, that's it for another year. Better try harder next year. It's like, no, like, I don't know. It's just
more opportunities. You're thinking,
more opportunities, and while I'm young, I want to go there. I don't know. I think
you do know. You want to go to London and try it, and that's what we keep saying. Is just, if you don't go, you're never going to know, are you? You know, it's a long way away. But how horrible to get to be 40 years old and think, I never knew.
Yeah.
I would never. You know, how will I ever have known if I did, because I didn't do it? And you don't want to do that.
No, that's
not
what I'm
ever.
most scared of. You know, because I see that all the time in New Zealand. It's just, I didn't do it.
Yeah, I don't think it's just New Zealand. I think it's just life in general.
Well, the thing is people move to New Zealand to do theatre because it's a lot easier. It's just chilled. It's relaxed. It's seen as more of a hobby. You know, it's like it's something you do on the side.
But there are professional actors. You know, the Auckland Theatre Company. You know, they're all.
Yeah, I know there are.
Yeah.
I know that, but every single person that I've talked to who's over 30 in theatre in New Zealand, it's like, oh yeah, I went to London or I went to New York for a bit and I couldn't do it. It was too much. You know, and yeah, that might happen to me probably, but like, I want to try it, you know, and I really want to give it a go. You know?
Yeah, because if you want to make it happen, then you will make it happen. And also, I think if you go over there and it's too hard, and you know, it's just, and like you're saying, these people are saying, "Oh, it's just too hard," so I came back to New Zealand. Well, for one, again, you've tried, haven't you? You know, so. But two, I just think, like, you know, well, maybe their heart wasn't in it as much as yours is. Maybe you have got to be 1,000,000%.
Yeah, well, people's dreams change as well. You know, it's like people you meet along the way, or like, I don't know, experiences you may have change. They change you, you know. You know, my mind gets changed almost every day. I don't know, and that happens to some people, and that's the one thing I need to remember, is that just because people's dreams are different doesn't mean that they're less important. It's just, that's actually a quote from Little Women. I didn't come up with that. It's really embarrassing.
I was impressed then. You shouldn't have said.
Yeah. That's so true. So, and you know, that might happen, but I really want to give this dream a go, because this is why I did it all. You know, Wellington, I did it all for this dream that I have, you know. And that dream has now just been ignited even more, you know. It's just like, and it's great, you know, it's great to be inspired. And I just want to chase it a little bit more, chase it over there, because that's where it's saying, that's where I feel like I need to go. And so I'm gonna go over there. Yeah.
And your old mum and dad are going to follow you, aren't they?
Yeah. Yes, they are. Thank God.
So yeah, we've talked about this on the podcast before, about us just taking some time and next year and going over to England. Brian's dad is over there, your granddad.
Gonna buy a house in Portugal.
Pardon?
No.
Yeah, Brian's going on about buying a house in Portugal. That's this new thing at the moment, isn't it?
Buy a piece of land.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's exciting times ahead, but it's been lovely to catch up with you and just hear all about it, because if you go back and listen to Tessa's last episode, we've done 3 with Tess actually. Tess at 17, and then the last I'll link to it in the show notes. But it was literally the day before you were going to Wellington, and you were so, quite rightly so, excited. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and and I just think it's brilliant to be able to. I don't mean to be like, oh yeah, there you go. You see, it didn't work out. I'm not being like that. I don't mean that, but it's
a
just
reality check.
The reality, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
it is a reality check,
and it's good to you know, be excited and have these dreams and stuff, but it was nothing like I thought it was going to be. And that's not to say, oh shit, you know, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like, oh, you know, it was just different.
Yeah.
It was harder than I thought it was going to be, but you know, that's sort of what makes it, I don't know, beautiful in a way. You know, it's just, I don't know, the process of things and the outcome of the process. It's like, things take time. They really do. They take so much time and patience and work. You really have to work at it, because it doesn't all just fall into place. But also, it's like I said before, it's like, don't put that pressure on yourself, because then you won't enjoy it, you know? You're just feeling like a way, you have to feel a certain way, you know? And I still feel like that sometimes. I'm just like, well, why don't I, you know, all these kids go out to town every night, every weekend, and they go and get off their face, and that's the Wellington scene pretty much, you know, that's what the week is worked towards. It's like, okay,
your age group, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everyone up to their 30s, you know, it's just like you work all week and then you go and get shit-faced and then you spend the Sunday hating your choices, and then you'll go back on Monday and start all again. And sometimes I'm just like, why am I not like that? You know, why am I just so freaking, sometimes I'm just so rigid, you know, and I'm like an old lady.
You're not.
No, but that's what I think. And then it's just like, it's not a bad thing to be either way, you know. It's just what stage you're at in your life, you know. I experienced that sort of, I don't know, craving for that kind of thing when I was, I don't know, like 15. And it was almost like, sort of went through that. And now I'm 19 and it's just like, well, I'm not really interested in that now, you know, because I've been there and done that, you know. But
you've never really been a massive party
person
either, have you?
No, not really. But I think that's just because of the job I do, both hospitality and also just performing.
Yeah,
mainly performing. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my party time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so there is still for me that pressure of like, oh, you should be this way, or you should be doing this and feeling these things and looking like this. I know.
You know,
yeah.
it's just, and it never goes away.
No.
No,
it never goes away.
We talked about this, didn't we? You know, and you rightly said that you feel like you should be out partying with these people because you're 19 and what am I doing sitting at home?
It's like everyone does it. Like everyone is out.
Yeah.
It's like the amount of people you see on the street, on the there's a main strip in Wellington. it's called Courtney Place, of all these clubs. And you walk down there, you know, my show in Wicked, I'd finish at about 11. And that's sort of when it all starts kicking off, you know, and it would be a Saturday night and you'd be walking home and it would just be, oh my God, like floods of people walking around, you know, and it's, you know, and that's fine, you know, they're going out to have a good time, but it's just, I'd be there and I'd just be like, oh God, you know, no, I just couldn't, like, nah.
Just like you say, each individual
Yeah.
things that people like to do, isn't it? But yeah, going back to that thing, it never changes that. You have to be a certain way if you're a mum, or you know, you have to be a certain way if you're, I don't know, a teacher, or it just there's just this pressure, isn't there? Of,
Even like you have to eat a certain way, you know?
yeah,
You have to like dress a certain way.
yeah.
It's just like, no, not really, you know?
Well, I'm so proud of you for navigating what you've navigated in the last 7 months. Like I say, you've moved from, I know you've traveled the world and you've done an awful lot of traveling.
So different though.
Yeah.
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 So different. Yeah, I always thought that. It's just like, well, I've been around the world, but this is harder than anything I've ever done. And it's only 4 hours away from where I live. You know,
I don't think the distance makes any difference.
no.
You're away, you're away. Different if you live down the end of the road and you can just walk up to see your mum and dad every night, every time you feel like seeing them. But 4 hours or 40 hours doesn't make any difference. You're away. You're away from home, too far to just think, I'll just nip round and see them. So that's the other thing to remember is, you know, when you talk about going to London and things like that, and I know you've said, oh yeah, but it's 24 hours away. You've done it. You've done the hard part.
And it will be hard again, but it's accepting that, you know? It's not freaking out about it and saying that you're doing something wrong, you know? Why am I feeling so scared? What am I doing wrong? You know, it's just like, no, it's just like, just let it happen. Like, let yourself adjust. However long that may take, just let it happen. Like, realize it's okay. Like, it's normal to freak out and want to shut yourself up, but just let it happen, you know? And that's the biggest thing.
It's so true.
Be okay with it.
Yeah, it's so true, and it's good. It's good to remember that, isn't it? It really is good to remember that.
Yeah, I forget it all the time, but like it's important still.
And I think the thing that also stood out to me, which will be so relevant to people who are listening to this, because a lot of people who listen to this podcast are moving to New Zealand, and you know they're making a big move in their life, usually to New Zealand. And I just something that you said earlier, and I just thought, God, that's such good advice about buying new things that represent where you are right now, rather than
Taking all the old baggage,
taking all your old ornaments. I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking
it's
ornaments,
important,
but
you know,
it's when you sit and look at them, isn't it? Like, oh, look, Mum bought me this, or this is the one I bought with her, and I love that. I just think that's a really good advice. Just go out, go to a secondhand shop or whatever, if you've got any money, just go to a shop and just buy something that represents right where you are
just
now.
what you've done today, you know?
Yeah, that's really great advice.
It's important.
Yeah.
I'm like it with my grandma. Because of the show I was in, I got a lot of flowers from people, and my grandma actually handpicked me flowers from her garden and brought them down, and I had them in my room, and it was lovely. You know, it was like being in my grandma's garden. But when they started to die, I started to freak out, because it was just, oh my God, no, you know, like, no. But it's like, no, put them in the bin and go and buy yourself some new flowers. Like, you know, and it's I'm quite funny about stuff like that, you know, and it's even the flowers you got me, it was like, oh my God, they're starting to die. Like, I don't want to throw them away. But you know, just, that's what I've been doing every week, is just having a fresh bouquet of flowers each week.
Yeah.
And when they die, get some new ones, you know, and it's just like, yeah, I've always been very, very, I don't know what the word is, but very protective over my things, my toys or my pictures, and
sentimental.
yeah,
isn't it?
it's just like a letting go of those things. It's what I've always found so hard to do, but I think it's just something I'd recommend is just buy a new bunch of flowers each week and put them on your windowsill. Watch them bloom, watch them die, and then buy a new one.
Yeah.
It's
And
nice.
it doesn't have to be anything extravagant, does it? It's like a bunch of daffodils, $5, I think, at the moment. You can get some for you, can't you?
Yeah, and even if you don't want to let them go, dry them up and put them on your wall.
Yeah.
That's what I've done.
I know, it looks lovely what you've done.
Yeah.
So hopefully the next time I speak to you, we won't be in London. So we'll hopefully get to you before then, just to have a catch up.
Yeah.
But it's really great because people know you from the book as well. So they've read the book and they know you from a 13-year-old, going around the world, and then you've been on the podcast a few times. And it's actually really lovely to watch you growing up and watch how you're navigating life. And
it's so weird. It feels like it hasn't even been that much time.
does it?
Yeah, when you say like, oh, well, we did one year when you were 17. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I just still feel like I am 17. It's weird. But then I don't, Strange. But yeah, it's nice to come on and share, and sometimes it's nice because you almost like talking to yourself and you clear your head a bit, which is quite nice.
It's great, isn't it? Podcasting is
Free
very, very
therapy.
therapeutic. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's
And
very good. I see why so many people do it.
Yeah, it is, because it's just literally you can just. And I love it when it's not videoed as well, when it's just audio, because that again,
you can sit here yawning.
Well, yeah, we've started videoing our podcast, and it just takes that, I don't know, that it just takes something away from it. It takes that intimacy away. And you try and think, oh no, I'm not going to look at the camera and I'll pretend it's not there, but it's just not the same. If you know there's a camera there, I don't know, maybe you would get used to it in the end. But for me, whenever there is a camera, I feel like you have to perform in a different way, whereas podcasting, I flipping love it because it's so intimate and so enjoyable.
I think that's why they do it in the church. Like when you confess and you're hidden, you're not seen, it's because you open up more.
It's true.
When you're not seen,
Yeah.
It's almost like just a little secret. I don't know. It's nice. It's like very intimate.
All right, Tessa. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
It's okay.
This week, and
felt a bit fumbled today for some reason. I always feel like I sort of know what I'm talking about, but today I don't know. My brain's a little bit scrambled, I think. So
you are absolutely perfect, and I just think just that whole thing of just talking through your emotions and your feelings, and like you say, just letting it be. Just let it be. Stop trying. Just let go of the reins a little bit. And
let go.
Yeah.
Let yourself be out of control.
Yeah.
That was one thing I learned. It's like always being in control. No, it's not good. Not good to be out of control. It's not good to be in control. It's just
a happy medium.
Yeah, being okay with being in both categories. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we'll catch up with you again soon then, hey?
All right.
Okay. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Love you, Tess.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us today on this episode. We have loved having you here. If you haven't yet bought a copy of my brand new book, The Travel Bog Diaries, then I would love you to go and grab yourself a copy. If you are a traveller, if you are a parent, if you are an aunt or an uncle, or someone who just loves a really good laugh, then you will love the stories that are within my book. It's all about traveling the world as a family with very little money, far too many hormones, and very, very little patience. It's honest, it's real, and it's such a good laugh. You will absolutely love it. You can grab a copy of that book right now by going to www.thetravelbogdiaries.com. Go over to there. The page tells you where you can buy it from all over the world. I really, really appreciate you for doing that. You will love the book. And if you have already bought the Travel Bog Diaries, thank you. I appreciate you. Bri appreciates you. And if you have got time, if you've got a spare 5 minutes and would like to leave me a review, that would mean the world to me. You can do that by going to www.thetravelbogdiaries.com thetravelbogdiaries.com/review. Just hop on there. It literally takes a few minutes, but it means the world to me. So thank you so much. Me and Bri love you. You're fabulous. Have a brilliant week, and I'll speak to you soon.